All right, we're back after some anticipation. I've got my coffee and I've got some photos here. I said I was gonna narrow these down a little bit, and I did, but each of these had something to talk about, maybe, except this one. This is fun. I like rotaries, I think it's cool. Okay, let's get into these 4 headlight shots. I just noticed it has like a weird like banner or something on the front. I don't know, it's again like, it's like where the center is here, and you don't always have to have the subject perfectly centered in the middle of the frame, but if it's ambiguous, that can help guide the eye. And I don't know if this turn signal is the most important part to focus on. I like the color grade, I like the, the lighting is pretty nice. Just kind of a weird thing. Same thing here. It's like we're putting all the emphasis on this cut line. This is so central, and then we've got like a dude reflected here. There's just a cleaner way to do this. If we're gonna emphasize this headlight, we should emphasize the headlight. Now this one, I don't have problems with, because I think this highlight on the hood is so pretty. Like this paint looks so rich. There is a lot of interest in this shot. Maybe even like a less shallow, maybe a less shallow depth of field would even help. We could see what this badge is, and see a little more. But I really like the tones here. I think this is neat. Oh no, the cat's here. Oh. And then we got this Mustang shot, which I think this one is cool, especially when I saw the thumbnail of it really small. It really struck me, just the tones, the colors, this highlight. It's very clear what our subject is. It's an interesting headlight. There's a lot going on in such a simple shot. There's a lot of light and things happening. So I think this one is the most successful in this headlight series. I skipped over this one. I don't know, it's not a very interesting perspective, and it's portrait, which I know I didn't say in the beginning, portrait's not going to be as good for this project. Thank you, Clay. All right, now we've got Juan Banuelos, and these were actually, a lot of people sent me way too high res. These were a little low res, but I think that they are cool enough compositions, strong enough images, that the resolution is not gonna hold us back from talking about these. And you're watching it on YouTube, probably this big anyway, so who cares? What a cool looking Mustang. This is just a neat car. I mean, I like the tones, I like everything about this except this like awful wheel on this trailer, but that's not in your control. I'm wondering if, because I don't know what's back here in this background, but if the shot was taken from the front, like head on, if it would just be kind of this like distant tree line, that would be really cool. You'd also get the width, but it wouldn't be a better shot. It would just be like a cleaner background. This one, similar perspective, great location, nice tones, very meaty looking Bronco. I guess it would be nice to see a little more background, but your focal length is good, the lighting is good, the editing is like no complaints here. So yeah, this is neat. The last two, we've got an F-150. It is a Lightning. Look at that. So what do we say about this? The ground is a little uneven, which is weird. The only thing kind of throwing me off is just that like it's the levelness of the ground. This is not in your control. Maybe there's a different car position that could have been done so that it's a little more straight. It's a little flexed on the suspension once you start looking at it, but that's not the first thing I noticed. It's mostly in the shade. If you're gonna shoot at a harsh time of day, which this looks like it was in the afternoon or late morning, or sometime when the sun is pretty far overhead, you're under cover of trees, which is the smart way to do it. You've got I've got no issues with CPL, I've got no issues with background stuff, so I think this is great. This one is a little less interesting just because it's not low. It's not as low, but I like the edit, and I like what you've done. Like, you know what you're doing. So, great submission. Thank you, Juan. Erik Pettersen. You sent 3 shots. Actually, I think there was 4, but I narrowed it down a little because they were all really similar. This one is definitely the strongest. It's and this is a Volkswagen Scirocco. Love the background. Like, love this kind of moody scene. Yeah, what do we think? The yellow is really cool. I wish the blacks were blacker, maybe. Your verticals aren't totally straight. It's a minor quibble. You could take out one of these lights. You could, I mean, if these lights weren't here, I like this distant light for whatever reason. The little guy, that one's cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's not like the coloring that I would have gone for necessarily. I like what the yellow is doing on the car reflection. So maybe it's possible to even punch that up a little bit on the car so you really drive it home. And yeah, it would have been cool for this set if we had like a rear shot from this perspective also. Like this perspective kind of ruins the other two because it's similar, but here we see the car is a little dirty or whatever. We've got like this chromatic aberration, color fringing in the lights. So I would have liked to see maybe the headlights on, which might have required some compositing. Those are cool wheels. I think they look like BBS Challenge. Someone's gonna tell me they're not, which is fine. And then you got like this light in the background here. That would have been kind of annoying to take out with the roof, but it would have helped. I think lights on would have been the move. Again, what the yellow is doing on this paint is interesting. The yellow is cool. This little highlight is really cool. That hood's not my favorite. Yeah, I really like what these yellow little highlights are doing. But yeah, this shot, this is a much stronger shot. I'd be interested to see a little bit of a different color edit, maybe a little less blue, a little more punch to the yellow in the car, and then headlights on, like I said. So, don't know if that helped. Also, this yield sign. I mean, these things, you know what I'm going to say. Thank you, Erik. All right. Barber is a friend of mine. He sent this in. I think he thought I would get no submissions, which I kind of thought that too, maybe. And I know he wanted to help me out. But this was sunrise. I know this was taken with like a potato like 13 years ago. So this was taken, let's say, with an iPhone version 0. So I can't fault the camera. Horizon's straight. Words are cut off here. It's a little weird. Sky is blown out. Golf cart man. Not sure if that's helping. But this is Bonneville Salt Flats, which adds some cool points. So, not my favorite photo as a photograph, but definitely a cool experience and a cool story behind this. So, thank you so much for sending that in, Brad. Rafael Diaz. He sent 3 photos of this Corolla GR. I mean, you know, I don't like this radio tower where it is. I like the scene otherwise. I like what these yellow lights are doing with the little grass blades and everything. When you have like this sort of situation, your perspective is limited because you can't get super low because you're gonna have too much of this stuff blocking the car. So I like how you've got a nice perspective here. We're seeing just the right amount of car. We're seeing just the right amount of foreground interest and background. It's a nice scene. This one, these headlights, the yellow lights, have the inadvertent effect of making this water look absolutely disgusting. So I don't know what you could do about that, but I don't know, I would have not been jazzed if I was in the scene and it looked like this, and it looked like a porta potty exploded or something. If someone was driving this car through the poop water, if someone was driving the car through the poop water and it created a splash, that could have been cool, but I don't know if like a wheel like 2 inches into this water is my favorite. And then this one, we've got a totally different lighting cast because of we don't have those yellow lights, or it's a different color grade. Obviously the other one is very blue. I like the sky in this one. It is a cool blue and yellow thing. This one, I don't know if you would warm it up, but also this perspective is kind of not wild about it. Again, I'm gonna mention the vertical thing, which is not your fault because I didn't specify that, but this might have been stronger as a horizontal. We'll give us a little more background here and rotate that camera a couple degrees. You know, I don't know, right or left. Rotate the image like, you know, 3 or 5 degrees to the right, so it's a little straighter. Kind of align those exhaust tips with the horizon. I like that the lights are on. Taillights, cool light signature. We have some cool lights, highlights happening on the surfacing of the car. Maybe if it was straight up and down, maybe if it was horizontal. I don't mind that it's cropped. That's not the issue. It's just if it was cropped and we had more over here, I think that would be a little stronger. And we got these little license plate lights saying hi over here. Okay, thank you, Rafael. Those are great. Mike Morris. Now, I like these. Mike emailed me and he said that he was influenced a little bit by my style with shadows and highlights, dramatic shadows. So that's one way to get into my good graces. But he's clearly doing something very cool here. I'm not saying everyone has to do what I do, and I'm not saying I invented this or anything, but I'll just say this is like speaking to me. Now, so the first one, we've got this AMG GT. I still think it's like the clunkiest name for a car when you've got multiple G's that are separated by a space that you have to say out loud as the letter. We've got an AMG GT, beautiful background, like California grass, golden hills. I love that. Love this shadow here. I don't know if that's real or artificial. I mean, I like it. If it's added, it's a nice element that kind of brings your eye right to here. But just what a perfect background. This is great. I mean, if I'm not even nitpicking. I'm just like, this cloud is like either a weird angle in the sky cloud, or maybe that's level. Like maybe this car is slightly on an incline and that's like the horizon, but I don't know. I don't really care. Beautiful colors, beautiful highlights on the car. I don't know if I talked about it much in the previous thing, but there's something intangible about photos that I love, where it's like just this punch, this visual punch to a photo, and it just means, I don't know, it's just something that makes it weird, or I don't know if it's contrast or just perfect light hitting. There's something unexpected, like just some sort of visual punch that just pushes it from competent photo to like amazing photo that you want to look at, that surprises you, that is pleasing to look at. And this, all of these, but this like has that punch, that factor that makes it just a little bit better, a little more interesting. Just, there are lots of competent photos, and there's lots of photos that I take of a car for a sale, and it's like, yeah, this is like technically okay, but I'm not excited about it. This would be one that I would be excited about if I took this. And then we've got this CTSV in a structure thing with some really cool harsh shadows. It's a silver or a white car. I actually can't tell. So that's something I'm gonna knock off. Just the fact that if you sent me one of these, I'd be like, perfect, no notes. But you sent me both, and this one's a really warm brownish edit, and this one's a really cool bluish edit. And this one, it kind of looks like the car is pearl white, and this one it looks like it's silver. So I'm gonna say I would like these to be balanced a little better. I kind of like this bluer tone, but I like them both on their own, and you're out there looking for cool lights, and I like that. I like that the headlight is on too. Like that brings something, you know, I don't know, is that something, light behind the eyes, like for cars? Like it adds life to it. It makes it a little more live. I don't know. I'm just I'm just making that up, but it adds something. It adds something, and it adds like some extra pop. Also, these shots, it's not like a crazy shallow depth of field or anything. Like all of this is sharp, and it adds something to it. This one, I was gonna say also like good focal length. I don't know what the focal length is, but I would guess it's 50, 70. You might not have had a lot of room behind you, so you got the most you could. Like it's, maybe you had a limitless field behind you, but I don't really know. I like the focal length, like the depth of field. I like these shots, so thank you, Mike. Ahmed Al Minhali. I don't know if I pronounced that right, I'm sorry. So we've got some action shots. I narrowed this down a little, but I liked these. Very diverse. I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about in all of them, except this one. No, I'm just kidding. The helmet is kind of a cool subject, and I love this sunspot. Race cars in like an environment like this, like a real racing environment at golden hour, is always going to be really spectacular. So it's cool that you got close to this action and got this shot. I love this car. I'm not, I don't know, I maybe would crop out this dude. No offense. I would maybe crop him out. It's a little distracting. Yeah, I guess I chose this one. I just wanted to rip on this guy. This guy looks really relaxed and leaning on the car. Like maybe this could have been the subject. Clearly you were cropping out something here, but maybe there's not like a way to retake this or anything now, but maybe if you were a couple steps back and pointed a little bit more left, that might have been a scene I would have liked to see even more, and I like this scene. We've got a night shot of a Toyota. I love this color edit, this like orange and greenish blue. I like that there's like some grain here, you know, it's like probably like high ISO, like it's gritty, it's cool. You know, normally I wouldn't like this angle, but it fits with the car so much. It fits with this scene and this vibe. So this is a cool shot. Like it brings something. Having this kind of Dutch angle, having this dramatic color element, these like flares around these fog lights. I don't mind any of these people. They're like just soft focus enough that yeah, you could look at them, you can see their faces. I don't think it's distracting. I think it creates the atmosphere. And we've got a really low perspective looking up. So I like this shot. It kind of, I won't say it breaks some of my rules, but it's not necessarily what will be my first instinct, but it totally works. Now this one, I love this. I love these two cars and shadows. We just talked about with Mike. I like the weird shadows. I like that the Porsche crest is in the highlight. We got some weird shapes. Yeah, I just wanted to share this. I don't really have anything to add to it. You probably could have cropped it like a slightly different way. Maybe you could. I wouldn't say you had to crop out the Cayman. This was an environment where you probably didn't have control over moving the cars or anything, so you got something cool from it. Here we've got a Carrera GT on a pallet and some poles in front of it. I like the foreground element. I don't know if I love the foreground element. Like I like it as a composition, but I don't know if this is the most pleasing thing to look at. These structural things. Just because I don't really know what it is. And I know it's some kind of like, I mean, it could be like the plumbing for the building, or it could be like a supports for some kind of roof, but it's not, I don't know, maybe if these were a little out of focus, you probably couldn't get closer to just really have like a blur of just part of this with the gradient, but that would be kind of my ideal thing. Okay, and this one I brought up just because this one, we've got the shadows. I'm just not wild about it. I do love the highlight on this car. So we've got the dramatic shadows, which we talked about with Mike, we talked about with this one here. And I'm saying this because this happens to me like a lot when I'm shooting kind of shadow stuff, where it's like part of it, like where it's like so segmented, where it's like the whole side of the car is lit just right, and then the front is completely dark. And sometimes it can work, and sometimes it looks like a mistake. And here I think it's bordering on looking like a mistake. Now and I know you couldn't move the car, and I know you can't move the sun, at least I don't think. But if like the shadow came across here, if it cut off half of the fender, if it kind of broke it up in a more organic way rather than side is lit, front is not, then it would work for me a lot better. But this would maybe be an instance where I would crop to kind of get that thing. Like having the front in here, but not lit, but just divided so on the surface, you know, the division between front and side. It's something I try to avoid when I'm shooting like shadowy stuff. And I'm just passing this on as a note. It's not something I can totally articulate, but I just wish it was broken up in a more chaotic way, or a more abstract division. If the shadow was cutting it in a more abstract way. Because this just kind of looks like you couldn't get the front lit or in the sun. If half the front was lit, 100, no notes. I would love it. But because it's just divided here, it doesn't work for me. And I know this probably doesn't make any sense. Also, I hate that the mirror is folded, and that's not your fault. It was an event, but I'm just saying. Do you need to lock your car at a car show? Is someone gonna steal your car at a car show? Maybe. Probably not. Okay, thank you. Abhiram said this. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. We got a third person in a row with the shadowy stuff that I like. I don't like this because this is a little blown out and this is just muddy. Both of these are kind of muddy. I want this to be a little brighter, more contrast. I don't have a problem with composition or layout. You're far enough away that it doesn't look like just like a snapshot, like you just pulled out your phone. Like it looks deliberate because it's a pretty long lens. You've got a nice considered background. We're seeing nice foreground. It's just, I want it to be a little more punchy, just a little more contrast, maybe a little brighter. And then this one, if you were exposing for this highlight and everything else was in shadow and the badge was in that highlight, I think it would work for me a lot more, but it's not quite there. But thank you so much for sending that. All right, Jonah R. Jonah R sent these 4 shots of Mustang GT350s, and I couldn't narrow them down because they're all cool. So I don't really know what to say. I mean, they're all really good, but let's talk about what makes them good. We've got a good sense of speed. We've got some cool, I think that's like rubber flying off, which is cool. Or maybe it's dust on the lens. I like the framing here. We've got like enough interest around it. We're tight in, but we're not too tight on the car. We have a little bit of context. Same thing here. Great sense of speed, great moving shot. Just nice. I would maybe want this to be like a little brighter, but it might be overexposed if it is, because it is a white car and we've got headlights on and everything. But I wish the blue was a little brighter. Here we've got 2 cars. I guess if I'm gonna get into it, we're gonna get into it. This one's sharp. This is the one that my eye goes to because of the way that it's sort of central to the frame, and if you're looking kind of coming from the top left, this one looks like it's the subject car. And at first, I've looked at this image like 3 times, so I've come back to this folder, and it's like, oh, that's not. Oh, and then it's like, oh, like I see that this one is sharp. So maybe with the framing, I would just like a little more visual emphasis on this one being totally sharp. And if the subject was this one that's blurry, I would want it to be more blurry. I would want it to be like, you know, just totally blurry. So that's just my only note, basically. And then this one, we've got a great perspective. And then this one, I think this is the exposure. I just said I wanted this one to be a little overexposed. I think this is that exposure, and I think it's not totally working, but I like how the blue just looks perfect. So somewhere in between. If maybe the whites were like a little bit closer matched, then it would be even stronger. But this is great panning, razor sharp. So, all right, thank you, Jonah. I'm gonna say Kacper. You sent some cool shots. This looks like one of those places they went on Top Gear 20 years ago, and I like it. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, this looks like a billboard. It looks fantastic. I'm not usually crazy about a wide angle, but it works here. Like this wider angle, like we see so much of this background, and we've got like a very poised positioning of the car where it's kind of angled, and you know, it looks like it's ready to launch. Like I like this. I like that it's not perfectly level ground 200 millimeters. Like we're kind of close, and it's very cool. One of the videos I want to do is like when it's good to use a wide angle lens on a full car shot. This would absolutely be one of those times, because it gives us this cool sense of poise and the world around us, and yeah, it really works. And then of course the windows look good, the highlights look good, the car is exposed well. Like I said, it's a billboard. This, I like this crop. It's really cool. We've got a perfectly centered thing. I think last time we had a GT3 and it was a wing straight on shot, and it wasn't exactly straight on, and it bugged me. And this one is straight on. I love that we've got so much vertical space above it. It's just an interesting composition. Like, this is unexpected, and whenever you can offer the unexpected, that is great. And then obviously I think this is like a perfectly nailed position. And if you look at these mirrors, if you look at these mirrors, if you were taking the photo, you would see in the mirrors like whether or not you're level, whether or not you're centered, like you can match them visually and like see, yeah, this is centered. So same car, shot right into the sun. Yeah, I love this. Like, I love shooting at this time of day, specifically when you have like an open area. This looks like a runway or a racetrack or a PEC. It's a Porsche Experience Center somewhere. This is PEC. When you have a big open area and you just can watch the sun just set on the horizon, it's one of my favorite things. And shooting the car into the sun at that time where the car is blocking the sun is one of the most exciting things. I mean, it is like it is like a drug for me. I don't get to do that very often, but when I do, it's just like you're just watching the sun come down and just geeking out like every second, because it just keeps getting cooler and cooler. And then when the sun goes down the horizon, then there's a million other shots you can do, and it's a lot of fun. So this is cool. I love this sun peeking out from the bottom of the car. We've got a cool shadow. I don't know if maybe the shadows were darker, if the blacks were blacker, if that would be cool or help, but it's you don't need notes from me. So this is killer shot. I included this one because I like chrome kidneys on BMWs, keep it factory, and if you're going to shoot chrome, this was taken clearly with a long lens. Another benefit of a long lens like a 70-200 or 85 or a 105 is you can take a picture of chrome directly like this and you will not appear in that image. So I just wanted to include that for that. And we've got an interior shot of the same E30 and everything is technically nice. I just don't like the steering wheel being a little bit turned. And even if you were to say, hey, that is perfectly straight, that's how it looks, well, then you have to like fudge it and tweak it so that it is visually straight for the photo. But I don't think that's straight. So we got a little bit of bright highlight on the dash. It's not bugging me. I mean, my eye goes to the steering wheel, but these are such cool seats. I'm all over the place. And also, I don't like this kind of crap hanging down from the mirror. This doesn't have to be a car listing shot. Not every interior has to be sterile as delivered like a brand new car. For example, if you're on like, you know, a road trip and you're kind of cataloging, you know, you're kind of documenting all the stuff that kind of piles up in the car and the road trip and the kind of what happens when you're almost living in a car. That can be a cool thing. But when everything is pristine and you've got one thing hanging here, I don't know, something to look for. I don't know what this stuff here is, but that is cool. That might just be on every E30 and I'm just not familiar enough with E30s. Okay, thank you so much. These are great. Thank you everyone for sending stuff in. That's ice cold. If I didn't get to you, it will happen. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully you can still get something out of watching other photographers' work up on the screen. This is a really crazy month for me. You'll see why soon. But I would like to do this more frequently and I really enjoy it. I was filtering out some submissions because I didn't want to be too repetitive, but there were so many I was excited to talk about. So I was really excited to sit down and do this. Once again, you can send these to ctmshares@gmail.com. The guidelines are in the post, but horizontal is better. No WeTransfer links, and you know, try to send just a reasonable resolution. It's going into a YouTube video screencast, so don't send me 30 megabit JPEG files. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you hopefully soon. Thanks.